Deeper Than Music Radio. Behind every great song is a greater story.
The music radio, behind every great song, there's an even greater story. I like to say what's up to everybody listening to us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and all the other platforms streaming us on their podcasting platforms. I also like to say, check us out on the newly launched Nius Media Roku channel. That's Nious Media Roku channel. Today we have a very special guest. I've been informed that he's also known as the James Bond, Latino James Bond, and also this guy is an entrepreneur, over 200 commercials. Before becoming an actor, he was running one of the biggest, well, actually, he can correct me on this. He was part of one of the biggest nightclubs. He would hold events and produce events with artists such as Sylvester. He's been known for films as far as Clearandpresentdanger, Ylse, elcontristista, and in 2016, he created Alta California Pictures. Ladies and gentlemen, we have guest Alejandro de Hoyos here on Deeper Than Music Radio. How you doing?
Great, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, not a problem.
I love your voice, man. Your voice is amazing. Sounds really good. I'm sure the listeners, can enjoy that voice as well.
Yeah, oddly enough, when I was in high school, I got recruited to a broadcasting academy. I did that, then got hired to do radio, and then both my parents were in the Navy, and I became air traffic controller. So I've been using my voice.
I love that. I mean, it's like we're all entrepreneurs one way or another. We choose different things. It's not like we just do this. We have to branch out and do different things. Right?
Yeah.
So, awesome. Yeah.
So the first question I had, you do so much. What do you do in your downtime when you're not busy? What
do you in my downtime? There's no downtime. I mean, just like everybody, you get to rest a little bit, watch a couple of action films, or do some cooking, things like that. But no, I'm pretty active the whole day. Yeah, I just got home. I rushed home, from downtown LA, because I'm still open. A couple of my businesses are still open. We had to close other companies because of the COVID-19. But I'm still very, very active. The only thing right now that's not active, that we're not active with, is the acting. So there's no auditions, there's no production, and I have a facility that holds weddings and events, like that. We can't have any of those. So those businesses are closed, those areas. But other areas, I have medical, I have real estate, those we're still working on all that.
So you have like your hands in so there's still things that, and you remind me of, the saying that they said, don't have your eggs in one basket. Yes, I have learned that the hard way. You focus all your energy on one thing, and this is an example because I'm still doing other things. If I were just acting or producing, then, especially just as an actor, as opposed to having a web show or a radio show, we depend on these auditions. So if we don't go, we don't work. And I don't want to be on unemployment. So, because actors also get to be on unemployment if there's no work. Yeah. So with you, it started all at 22 when you moved to Acapulco. And I want to say the club's name is the most popular disco. Is it called Magic City or
Magic Circus? Yeah. These guys had a club in Acapulco, one of the popular clubs there, and it was called Magic. And then they decided to, because they're from Mexico City, big city, one of the biggest cities in the world. And they decided to open a even bigger club in Mexico City. Mexico City is very different from a lot of the other states or cities. Where I worked, they were extremely picky. So it was the biggest club with a capacity of 3,000 people, but you had to be a member to get in. Yeah. So you had all the sons and daughters of the politicians, of the rich people. So those are the people who could go. So it was if you were able to get in, you were like, all right, you know, you were lucky. And I was in my 20s. I mean, I was 22 when I opened. I was the general manager of Magic Circus because I got started earlier. And it was a great experience. I mean, you learn a lot. You learn to deal with people in power. You learn to deal with regular people like us, you know, and you get some connections. You see everything that you can see in a club. And that's when I had the opportunity to produce these shows. We were producing them along with the company, with Magic Circus. But then I branched out and decided to do it on my own. So like we were only open on weekends because it was a private club. So on a Thursday, I would book the place because it was empty, it was closed. So tell the owners, hey, I need that Thursday, you know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then I would book my own singers or dancers or any performers. Even martial arts. I had a world championship at the Magic Circus. And yeah, and it was televised by Televisa, which is at the time was the biggest station in Mexico. So it was a great opportunity. When I think back, and I'm like, man, I was 22. I was 22, 23. I had a martial arts event at. Where are you right now? In what city?
I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth. Well, I'm actually in Fort Worth, but yeah, DFW.
Yeah. So if you know Staples Center here in LA.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Staples Center.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. I booked El Palacio de los Deportes, which is something like Staples Center. I mean, thousands and thousands of people. And I'm thinking, wow, I was 22 when I was doing that. You know, I love doing all that. And I booked that place, and we had this event with all these martial artists. They were breaking ice. There were demonstrations, fighting. These were very popular martial artists of the time. And I loved it. I've always liked the idea of creating my own things, you know, my own shows, my own events. Once I met my wife, she's American, and we came together to the States. Then things changed a little bit. I started got into restaurant business. I started doing different companies. Some did well, some went under, you know, you name it, you know. As an entrepreneur, you think this is the next thing. Yeah. And then you learn that everything takes time. Everything that's worth something takes time.
And I'm glad you say that, because a lot of people, I've always heard the saying that successful people, they, you know, you learn, you fail, but you learn and you pick yourself back up. And there's always that illusion that everything happens overnight. And like you said, sometimes you something to be successful, something may take time, and then something you may fail at, but it's all about the experience, right? And learning.
That's right. Yeah. I was listening to this guy, Earl Nightingale. I love that guy. He's from the 50s, 60s. And he was talking about how being successful is not necessarily achieving. Being successful is knowing what you want and then going for it. And it's a process. Success, it's a journey, it's a process. It's not just arriving. Because if you're going to consider yourself successful once you arrive, then you're in trouble. Man. Because arriving takes a long time. You're not going to get from the East Coast to the West Coast in 20 minutes, no matter what. So you have to wait. You know, you have to enjoy the process. You know.
So when you did Magic Circus, I imagine to be 22 and to throw these events, they really, like, your work ethic. I mean, they really believed in you. Did they think you were outlandish? Were you like, look, I want to throw this event. I want to have Sylvester come here. I want to do the kickboxing. Was it an easy sell initially? Did you have to work your way up to build that confidence?
Yeah, of course. I was working at a different club since I was 16, then 17. I was still going to school. And since this was on weekends, I was working there. And then when I was 19, I was running a club in Acapulco. And then I went to work for Magic as one of the managers there. I was 19, but you know, I was tall. I'm 6'1". And in Mexico, when you're 18, you're a man. You're an adult. You know, so yeah. So you're an adult. You're 18. You're legal. So work habits have always been like, I was there on time. I was trying to do the best I could and continue growing. As a matter of fact, I don't recommend this, but in the first year or so, I think I changed 3 or 4 jobs because somebody else wanted me. They would see me here, and then I would go somewhere else for more money. But I also learned that sometimes you need to stay at a place longer unless you're not happy. So so I was in Acapulco. I was 19. They liked me. I went to Mexico City for another club. They had a private club called Bandasha, which was a small club. I was there for a few months. Was again meeting people from Mexico City, and then I always liked the States. I wanted to come here and learn English. I didn't speak English very, very well at the time, so I went to Las Vegas on my own. Yeah, I mean, there's shows there, and I had been there a few times when I was younger, you know. So I went to Las Vegas, and I worked there for 6 months because they were doing the construction of the big club. So in the meantime, I went to Vegas. When I was 20, actually, that's when I went to Vegas. I turned 21 in Las Vegas. It was different because I don't drink, but I couldn't drink. I couldn't go to certain clubs because you have to be 21, especially in Vegas, and I didn't know that. But I'm gonna tell you something that I don't mind telling this to people. When I got there, I was used to being a manager in Acapulco, in Mexico City. I was the assistant manager, before that big club, and I wanted to learn English. I wanted to see what it was like to be in the States. Nobody would hire me, first of all, because of my English was not very good. So if you're even waiting tables or doing anything like that, you can't really communicate with people. So after a couple of months of me being there, I was getting bored, but I didn't want to go back. The club was not ready yet, so a guy offered me a job. He really liked me. He said, it looks like you're somebody who's a hard worker and this and that. I have a position open for a dishwasher. And I thought he was joking. I don't think I understood very well what he was saying. And I thought, well, what's a dishwasher? What does he do? Well, there's a machine there. So I said, let's do it. I'm not afraid of work. I mean, all my life I've been working since I was 12, so I didn't. But it was tough. It was a tough job. It was a very busy restaurant. So I enjoyed doing that. I did it for a couple of months. In a couple of months, the guy said, I want you to help us in the kitchen. I want you to be a busser. And then they said, after a month, I want you to be a waiter. So as you can see, I was already, going again. Yeah.
One thing that I like that you said, because one thing I wondered was like, okay, why would you have all this stuff going on in Acapulco? You're the big man. You leave to come back to the States, and it sounds like you have to pretty much start from scratch. To a lot of people, that would mess with their ego, but to you've seen it as a stepping stone. Was that at any time, was it like, man, I got to go back because I'm starting from the bottom? But it sounds like you didn't have that mentality. You wanted to keep working and growing.
Yeah, for me, I guess it was more important for me to grow and learn the language and learn about the culture, to actually live in the United States, a different country. The challenge was very, big. So it was good for me. And I guess we'll say I love challenges. It's not that I love challenges, but when there's a challenge, I like to conquer it, to be able to conquer it. I don't want challenges. Make things easy for me, but if they're there, let's try to conquer it. And I also knew that the club was about to be open soon, but it took longer than I expected. It took 6 months. So I was in Vegas for 6 months. When I told the managers of the restaurant that I was leaving because the club was about to open, they were very sad that I was leaving, and then that made me feel good. The thing is, since I knew about hospitality, the industry at the clubs, there's a lot of hospitality there. They liked me. They looked how I was waiting tables, how I was taking care of the customers, even though my English was still not that good. It was very, very, limited. And then I called and I said, hey, what's going on? is the club ready to open? They say, yep, come on over, you know, come back. We're ready for you. So we opened, and over 3,000 people, like 500 people were left outside. They couldn't get in for the opening. It was an amazing experience. Again, by then I was 21 when I was in Vegas, and then I was 22, 23, 24 at the club. You know, I was in Mexico City doing all those shows, all those events. You learn from what you see. I would see that other people were doing those events, you know, on weekends. They were paying a lot of money to rent the club. And I felt like, okay, they're making good money too. So why couldn't I do it? You know, I get a big discount from the owners because I'm their manager, and Thursday is empty. So why not? I have the staff. I'm the guy there, you know, because doing everything. So yeah, you were asking me about Sylvester. Sylvester was very popular at the time. You know, I don't know if you remember his music. You're young, you know.
I just remember "You Make Me Feel Real." That's the when. That's the first thing that popped in my.
Yeah, he had all these amazing. They were called disco songs at the time, and he was very extravagant. He dressed like a woman. You know, he got like, you know, long hair and lots of makeup. He was great. So I was looking for more shows of my own, and I approached this guy. He said, you know, I have this guy, you know, he's gonna be here. His name is Sylvester. And I'm like, oh, I love his music. You know, we play his music all the time. So I hired him, and then we put everything together for him. It's interesting because when we talk about certain things that we have done, it sounds really easy. So we hire him, we give some money, a down payment, this, that, and then he comes and tests his speakers. I got some professional guys to bring different speakers because the club speakers were different from the speakers they like. They like extra.
Right.
Yeah. So we hired this company, and they're supposed to be really good, and he hates it. He's like, I sound like a toad. I'm not singing. I'm not singing. Yeah. And I said, the guy that helped me at another performance, they're really good. And then who are they? Give me their number. So I called them. This was in the morning that he came in, and you know, he was just rehearsing. And by night we had the other guy with the speakers that he liked and the sound that he liked. I got some dancers to dance with him. You know, all those things that you put together. Nothing's easy. You know?
No, there's never a straight path, right? There's always going to be roadblocks, and man, you speak to that. About when did acting come into the fold? With you doing all of this, when did you start pursuing the acting career?
You know, I like the acting since I was about 16, 17. I would see actors, American actors or Mexican actors. And then I just liked it, but there was no opportunity. I was a busy kid going to school and working part-time. I like to have my own money. So, there was no time to act or to sing or to dance or anything like that. It was just, you know, go to school and make money. And since I started working at 17, 18 at the clubs, then there was no time. I continued opening companies, and I had a restaurant in Virginia that I opened with my wife. She's from Virginia. And I was 25. I was very young. So we had it for a few years, and after I was 28, 29, I was missing the West Coast. I missed California and Ensenada. That's where I'm from, which is the border, a little south. Yeah, there's Tijuana and then Ensenada. So I wanted to come back, and I said, look, the lease was up, and we said, let's just pick up and leave. And we opened another restaurant in California. It'll be more fun and this and that. People will, you know, understand what real Mexican food is like and blah, blah. So we came back to the States, and we never opened the restaurant, ever. We talked about it, but what happened is that I went to an audition, not for me, for somebody else. Actually, for my wife, she wanted to do commercials, so I went with her. And the casting director said, "Oh, hi, are you an actor?" I said, No. She's like, I need guys to audition for this commercial. I auditioned, even though I had no experience. I had never been in front of a camera for that. And I didn't book it, but she gave me some pointers about what classes to take, this. And I did, started taking classes, and then I booked an agent from one of these classes. And then I started booking like crazy. She booked me, a few times, that casting director. So I was doing about 20 jobs, 20, 30 a year. Yeah. Yeah. I always had like 4 or 5 commercials running. People would say, "Oh, I saw you in the car commercial." And I'd be, "Which one is that?" "Oh, no, that was AT&T. I just happened to be in front of a car." But people see you in front of a car and they figure you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did most of the cars I have done, most of the cars, detergents, different things. Sears, I was the spokesperson for Sears, for washers, and dryers, different things. You just start working. And at the same time, I was, building some of my companies that I still have after 20 years, 15. I continued building some of those. I would say people have asked me this question, so have you been acting full time? And I say, no, I couldn't. I had 4 boys, and I had to, raise those 4 boys and actually continue growing the companies. Some of the companies are doing well, then some of them are not. So you have to always be, with your team. You create teams. At this point right now, I still have like 9 active companies. And I have a team. I have about 100 people that work with me, but I have really, really good teams that help me when I'm not there. So that's something I learned, that you have to be able to not be there and the company is still running by itself. Not by itself, but by those awesome people. Your team. They're the ones that are running the companies. And we joke about it because I say when I was shooting my movie, we'll talk about it in a little bit, I was out for a month and I would call them, "Hey, do you guys need anything? Is everything okay?" And they would be like, "Yeah, boss, we got it. We don't need you. Everything's under control." It's like, because they didn't want me to worry.
Yeah.
But there are always things that once I come back, they're like, "Oh, okay, so what happened here?" "Well, we didn't want to worry you. We took care of it, but we didn't want to worry you."
So, with the commercials, did it lead to bigger roles, like in Clear and Present Danger, or like was it just like a snowball effect?
Yeah, it's like when you're doing something I noticed that the more I booked, the more jobs I was getting. It's like inertia. It's like you're saying, like a snowball. You just let it go. It's a numbers game. The more auditions you go to, the more commercials or the more acting gigs you're gonna get. You don't audition, you don't book. So I had a really good agent at that time, and they were sending me out a lot. I was going out 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week. So yeah, so that was pretty good. As I got a little older, like 10 years ago, then things started slowing down. Actually, in 2000, things slowed down. That was 20 years ago. One of my kids was about to be born, and I remember we had a strike, the Actors Guild's strike. It lasted 6 months. So during 6 months, we didn't work. And at the time, I opened another company, because I needed to. I had a newborn, and then so I opened a new company that I started building in 2000. So I've had it for 20 years, that company. Yeah.
So we talked about your companies. Could you tell us some of the businesses that you have? I'm just out of curiosity because you said about 9, right?
Yeah. I have, like I said, I have 3 interpreting companies, and they work with different entities. They work with different hospitals and clinics. Then I have a medical facility that we have I'm a management company that manages all these doctors. They come and see the patients. We provide everything for them, everything. So they love that. It's a really good arrangement for them. We also have a weight loss center. I have real estate. I have houses that right now I'm remodeling 4 houses, that I got. They were completely old from 1930s. It was a beautiful property. And I love doing that. For me to fix something that's really in bad shape, I love it. It's my creative juices. And then what else? I have a banquet hall, a facility for weddings, quinceañeras. Then I opened the production company. I don't know how many that is, but it is 9 active. I have I have another Alejandro Inc., which only deals with acting issues. So that's a separate company altogether. Yeah. So there they are.
Acting, you mentioned you have your production company, Alta California Pictures, and then you did your first film. What led to that? Did you see a need?
Yeah, I like the idea of producing my own film because I like, again, to create, and if there are not a lot of parts for you, then you say, okay, I'm going to create something for me and my friends, around me. That was in 2008. I had the money ready. Everything was ready to produce a different film. And we had the 2008 crash, the market crashed. So we said, no, right now, this is not the right time to do any of that. So it took me this long. I started doing other companies, different businesses. In 2016, that's when I decided to open, because I always go to the auditions and always hear the same thing. Actors, my friends, they would always say, Alex, there's no work for us. All the good parts go to the white people. There's nothing for minorities, and there's nothing for us. Look at TV, look at films. And I said, okay, I agree with that. What are we doing about it? Why don't we produce, or why don't we do our own shows? And somebody said, yeah, it's easy for you to say, you're doing business and all that. I said, look, you write a film, you learn how to write, you write it, and if it's good, you'll find somebody to produce it or direct it, If you don't write it, nobody's ever gonna look at it. It's very simple, If you don't know where you're going, and I see that, in the Black community, we have a lot of people, a lot of leaders that are, building their own projects, and awesome. I want us Latinos to do the same thing. Hispanics, Latinos. For me, I don't care if we're Latinx or Latinos or Hispanics. I mean, it's Spanish-speaking people. So that's why I said, you know what? I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna produce my own film. A friend of mine, I have 2 friends that I deal with all the time. Peter Pano works with me in one of my companies, and he's an actor too. And Jojo Henriksen, he's a writer. He wrote a film that was very popular here in the Spanish community. Ladrón que roba a ladrón, which means a thief who steals from a thief is basically forgiven or something like that. So he got this script, and I read it. I liked it, and this was like in March. By April, May, we were in pre-production. We said, let's do it. Got people from Mexico City, celebrities from Mexico City. We got some really good actors here in LA. And by August, we were in Ensenada, the place where I was born. And we were shooting the movie. We got an amazing crew in Mexico, man. It was great. I didn't know what to expect because I had never worked in Mexico as an actor. Okay. Remember, I started here when I was 30. Which some people might think, well, that's too old. But you know what? It's never you're never too old, to do anything like that. To be a gymnast, maybe, but I don't know. I was doing the backflips the other day here on my trampoline, and I did some backflips, which is good. Anyway, so that's how I decided to make the movie and shot it. We're very fortunate that everything went well. The crew was amazing over there. The actors, they all behaved. I mean, it was very nice. It was very nice to see that you can do it. I mean, if you decide to do it, you get the right people to help you. Because I had the experience of putting people together, production, things like that, like for my martial arts tournaments. I had that experience dealing with. So I hired a couple of people, a group here in LA and a group in Mexico to help us with the production. So that was very good. That way I was not concerned about a lot of things.
I like what you say. There was a movie that's a series out on Netflix that was a huge eye opener. It's called Hollywood, and it shows like Hollywood in like the 50s and during the time of Rock Hudson. And it showed how African Americans, how Latinos, how Asians were all typecast. And I love the fact now that people, there's different platforms and avenues where we can write our narratives, write our experiences, and also create opportunities. Because a lot of, like you said, a lot of minorities, there aren't roles or this typecast roles. And like you said, if we want to make change, we have to create that change. So that's very impressive.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a guy who works a lot. He's a Mexican actor, and there's like a going joke. Is like, oh, I booked this part, and we say, awesome. What's the character? And he says, a gardener. and he booked something else. So yeah, what's the part? A gardener. So it's like a joke, It's like a gardener or somebody taking care of the lower, not that there's anything wrong with being a gardener, but it's pretty much always the same. The guy with the fruit and in the corner. Actually, I haven't seen those guys anymore. Here in LA, we used to have those guys with the oranges, and I haven't seen. Maybe it's because of the coronavirus. I don't know. I haven't seen them in a while.
When you speak about Ensenada, I actually, when I was in the Navy, I was stationed in Naval Station San Diego. So I lived in El Cajon. I lived in La Mesa. I lived in Chula Vista and Bonito. So I'm familiar with that area, man. Definitely God's country out there.
Yeah, very nice area. All that is really, really nice. Yeah. Yeah, the weather is very, very nice. Cajon, La Mesa, all that. I like it.
In your career, what would you say in your vast career, in your diverse career, any challenges or any challenging moments that stood out in your mind?
Always. Like I said earlier, everything's a challenge. I mean, raising 4 boys, and I'm very proud of how they turned out. The youngest is 17, and then 20, 25, 20, 28. And they're all great boys. They're really, really good boys. They're very well educated. They're very polite, and they're smart. So, of course, they're my kids. Everybody thinks that about their kids. No, but when they're brats, because they have. It's interesting because they have not struggled. They don't understand the struggle that I went through or with my family. But at the same time, we let them know. So, even though they haven't struggled that way, they still understand. If not, deep enough, they do understand. So sometimes you have to remind them, no, you got to be humble, man. You can't pretend that you're, the guy who knows everything. No.
And actually, in this day and age right now with this pandemic is a very humbling experience because nobody saw this coming, right? And it is affecting everybody, all walks of life, worldwide. Yeah,
you have kids? You have a family?
Yeah, I have a 13-year-old daughter. So I'm going through I make a joke because we have a family cat, and her and the family cat used to be very tight, but now she's adolescent. We don't know what Olivia we're going to get. So now the family cat hangs out with me because we don't know what Olivia will get,
Yeah, 13, that's it's a challenging time, for a girl. And, you'll survive. I hope you do. Yeah. Yeah. So so one daughter.
Yeah, just daughter.
Yeah. Well, it's not that it's easy, but it's a little easier to handle, which is good. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can pay attention to her and all that stuff. Yeah.
As you say, you have 4 kids, and my friends that have 4 kids, when we go visit them, it's just like, wow, it's 4 different personalities, they're all over the place, and I'm just like, wow.
That's good. Well, they all use the gym here, you know, so it's nice to see them active. You know, we have challenges. One of them doesn't live with us, the 20-year-old, and the challenge is we have to do push-ups every day. So he'll send the push-up video of him doing the 20, 25, whatever, and then we try to do the same, you know, the same thing. So stay motivated, you know, with different little challenges. Yeah.
So your first feature film is Elcontristista. Can you give us a rundown or a high level?
Oh yeah, that movie. El Contratista. El Contratista started. The name was the Internationals. All the. It's about this guy, me, who's in Iraq, and then something happens there. He's a contractor, and he's protecting CIA agents, and they're going overboard with this Iraqi, you know, guy. And they're torturing him, and it gets to a point where he says, "God, enough's enough. The guy doesn't know anything." So something happens there where now they're fighting me, and I'm fighting them, and then I say, you know, I'm done with this. I'm gonna open my own security company. I go to Mexico and protect this little boy whose family just got murdered. We don't know by whom. The family was very, very rich. They had a butler, they had a nanny, they had a cook, you know, very, very, very rich people. So it's very interesting because the director wanted to have something that was sort of anti-war. You see the growth of my character, how he believes in his country. I mean, we're patriots. But it gets to a point where he says, why am I doing this? I mean, some things are not right. So it's the growth of that character about what you know is right and what's not right, whether you're doing it for your country or for you or whatever. And the other issue is the little boy who's always playing video games, all those battle. Once his parents die, he's playing video games all the time, and he's like a zombie. So once we get involved and we start finding out who did it, and we get attacked and we kill some of them, then the boy comes back to life. He's like, yeah, you kill the bad ones, you kill the bad guys. So it's interesting to see how the little boy is affected by the death, obviously, and then by the video games. He's just in that world, and then how he starts coming out of it by seeing real death, real. So yeah, the cook is not very happy with that. She's telling him, you shouldn't be happy. They're killing. These people are dead, and she's like, they're not people. These are the guys who killed my parents. They're not people. So it's very interesting. It was supposed to be some sort of comedy, like the A-Team, and as we continued shooting, the director said, "No, this is not funny. There's some serious good stuff here." So the movie ended up being drama, suspense, action film. I do my own martial arts stunts. Yeah, because I forgot to say that I was a black belt when I was 17. I love martial arts since I was little. That's why I did all those martial arts tournaments in Mexico. And but I had not been training for years. I mean, since I was 20, I hit the bag and things like that. Every now and then I punch, kick, and things like that. So to make for the movie, I had to train. I went to Ensenada, so my old teacher, who's 73 now, but he's a black belt, 10th degree. And between my teacher and his son, who's also a 4th degree black belt, we choreographed the fight scenes. And that's me doing all the stunts for that fight. It's one of those things, you can always have more time to train. I ended up going like 3 times to train with them for like a few hours. And then I would come home and do everything I'm doing and then training, doing some kicks. And it looks good. I mean, the teacher, my teacher said once he saw the movie, he's like, yeah, that looks good. It looks very, very real. I said, it better look real, because when I kicked the guy who was his son, he flew out, broke a door that he wasn't supposed to break, and the light came in. It was like a miracle, like, ta-da! Throwing a flying kick, and good accidents, those are good accidents that happen. Very, very proud of what we did. For the first film that we did, I was very, very proud.
So once we get to normalcy, what's the future for Alejandro as far as your career and business wise?
Yeah, I'm still. What I'm trying to do is have my team focus on a couple of the companies or the businesses, like the clinic and the interpreting, so that they can take care of that more. So I'm not as involved. I love real estate, man. I love fixing, but I love movie making, acting. I don't do the acting for the money. I mean, when you book something, the money is really good. But I'm being honest with you. It's nice I just booked a national commercial for Northwestern Mutual. We went to Europe for 2 weeks. It was amazing. Yeah, the director of photography was Emmanuel Lubezki, which is a 3-time Oscar winner for The Revenant, for Birdman, and I forget Cuarón's The Space. So, with George Clooney and Sandra Bullock. It's a movie about space. Yeah. So Gravity, I think it's called. Yeah. So it was an amazing experience, in you making really good money for that. But what I was saying is that it's good to make the money. I mean, you want to get paid, but at the same time, I'm doing it because I like it, because I didn't get to do it when I was younger. And now, when you're saying, what's Alejandro going to do now? Now that I'm more established with my companies and my teams and all that, now I have and my kids are, they're adults, they're mature. Now I get to be a little freer when it comes to producing my own films or acting or going out of town to shoot whatever. Where before it was a little difficult for me to be gone for 3 or 4 weeks to shoot something. Now I feel a little more relaxed about that. Like I'm 59, I just turned 59, but I feel like, hey man, I want to be working till I'm 80. I want to keep acting and producing. That's what keeps me young. If you want to say that, that's what keeps me alive, keeps me going. If I were thinking about retiring at 65, I couldn't do that. I don't want to do that. My brain has to be active. My creativity has to be active all the time.
What advice would you give somebody that sees what you do, and then they're like, wow, I want to be like Alejandro. I want to do the acting. I want to have business ventures and be an entrepreneur. What advice would you give somebody that looks up to you and wants to go your pathway in life?
Yeah, I mean, it's an advice that I don't like to give advice a lot, because people sometimes, if they're not ready to take it, they just won't take it. I try to teach my kids, and this is the advice I would give, is find what you like. Find what you really, really like. And this is not from me. I've heard it so many times from different people. But I agree with that. Find what you really like and go for it. And like I always say, people say, oh yeah, I'm giving it 100% and this and that, and I'm doing it, and I haven't booked or I haven't done what I want to do, and I give it 100%. And I say, okay, I don't want to be a jerk, but you're not really giving it 100%. It's sometimes we think we're giving it 100%, but no, we're not. It's very difficult to give it 100%. We have obligations, we have other things. We have families, we have, so it's hard to give it 100%. But that's what I would say. Focus on what you like, and don't do what I did, which is, as an entrepreneur, you try to do different business, different companies to be able to generate some income. I don't want to do that the rest of my life. I don't want to open more companies just because I think they might be profitable. Whatever I do, it would be more related to the film industry or real estate, because I love those two things. For me, I wake up because I'm writing another movie with my son. We're actually done. For me to wake up and know that I have to write, or that I have to produce the film, or that I have to go to the houses and see what the progress is, that really, really excites me. That gets me going. When I think about dealing with other issues or the other companies, it's like, okay, I'll deal with them, but it's not something I love. So I would recommend find something that you love, because no matter what, you're going to struggle financially in the beginning. You're going to struggle financially. Struggle with something that you really love. Don't just go for something. People have asked me, hey, Alex, you have all these clinics. Why don't you open a weed place? You know, I said, no, you know, I don't smoke, and you know, whoever wants to smoke, they're welcome. I don't want to sell it, a dispensary. I don't want to have one. Yeah, but there's so much money. Again, it's not about the money. It has to be something that I feel passionate about. Like film or acting or real estate. So that's the advice, whatever. And really, really, really do it. Really don't allow anybody to change your mind. And there are going to be many obstacles. I think that's one of the most important things. You have to have that understanding deep inside that whatever's worth something, it's going to take a while. And if you're fortunate and you were successful, quickly, there's still so much more to learn, because that's what happens when you have quick success. Then it was too easy. Then you fall, and then it's harder to get up. So it's like steady. Whatever it is, whether you want to be a doctor, a teacher, whatever you want to do, go for it. You want to be a teacher? Awesome. You want to be a babysitter and take care of children? Awesome. That's what you want. That's your passion. It doesn't have to be about the money. It's about what makes you feel excited. So again, I'm just repeating words that I have heard through so many people that I enjoy. That's why I'm repeating them, because I agree with those things. Yeah.
Like you said, you have to have a passion, or the saying, love what you do and do what you love.
Right.
And it's passion.
You wouldn't do this if you weren't passionate. I can see that you love this, you enjoy it, and I'm sure you have your challenges. I'm pretty sure you have your challenges, like everybody does. And yet you're doing what you want to do. And a lot of people are not doing what you want to do. What they want to do, they're not doing that. You are, So that's anybody who's doing it is an example. So in other words, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the role model. No, just look at what I'm doing. Look at my mistakes, my failures. Because that's how you learn. When you look at the failures, also, not just the successes. Failures. Very important to learn from that.
Well, Alejandro, thank you for taking the time to come and speak on just your life and offer insight. My last question, shameless promotion time. Like, where can people find you, find your movies? Yes. Where are you on social media?
See, I don't even think about those things. Yeah, we are on Amazon right now. We're on Charter, cable, Spectrum. Spectrum. We're on cable, Charter, Comcast, and Spectrum. But they just also released it on Amazon. Right now, I don't know what happened there, that they only have the dubbed version that was gonna go somewhere else, and the original version is supposed to be up very soon. So I don't know what happened. It was supposed to be the original in Spanish with subtitles, which is what we have, and then if you wanted the subtitles, then you get a choice. So they're working on that technical issue. So hopefully this week or next week that will be ready to go. Yeah. And so people can watch it there on Amazon. It's a good film. It's a really, really good film. It's gonna make you feel. It's gonna make you laugh, but it's gonna make you feel. If you watch it with your wife, you're gonna see her reaction towards the end. It's a very interesting end. I've never seen anything like it. I don't want to tell you the end. So,
I said I'm definitely gonna check it out. I mean, I like the way the plot, the story. I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah. So yeah, and also you can go on IMDb. I'm Alejandro de Hoyos, or Instagram, it's Alejandro de Hoy. So I guess they didn't have the Hoyos, so DEHOY at Instagram.
Okay.
Very simple. You just go online and yeah. It's funny because people make fun of me when I say that I'm a shy person. I'm not really somebody who likes to promote himself. I like to work, man. So for me, I want to be working all the time as an actor without being that famous.
All the other stuff, huh?
You know, yeah. I want to. That's why I haven't really gone for it 100%. Because I like being Alex. I like being Alejandro. I like being with my family, doing my things. I just enjoy the work, you know. So.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on Deeper Than Music, and also catch his movie. It's on Amazon. It's available on the streaming platforms, and pretty soon it's gonna. You said like the Spanish version with subtitles.
Yeah. Soon.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, another great episode of Deeper Than Music with Alejandro de Hoyos, and this is Mark signing off. Thank you.